Hey, look at it. Let's go back to another Winds of Change video. So in the last one, instead of killing Halen, I decided to try to liberate him, which means I lifted his curse and he'll get to decide for himself if he still wants to be against the Monarch and the Monarch's party. And apparently we're getting an update on Damek for the first time in a while. So, Damek fights for his life in the town square, surrounded by suits of armor. He's lost sight of all his allies, and is unable to tell if they're even still alive. Still, he fights on. He'd never give up, not when he's as close to the end. That bell would surely ring any minute, and bring an end to the war. If the Monarch followed through, then this would belong to them. This is the fact that kept him fighting, even as his hope was lost. Fatigue started to settle in, making him move slower. His suits of armor fell, so did his strength and resolve. He was surrounded, fighting in every direction.
Come on, 14, we can't hold the town square forever.
And just then, an arrow pierces through his shoulder. He stumbles back and falls to his knees before pushing it out. I feel like he's gonna die. This pain was minuscule compared to what he felt back in his air. Rising up, he starts to fight with anger as well as determination. In a rage, he takes down the suits of armor even faster than before. Another arrow pierces his upper body, but nothing can stop him now. Keeping this arrow in, he grabs another sword that lay on the ground. Fighting with two of them, he's able to guard himself more effectively. Suits of armor are arriving faster than he can kill them, however. Soon enough, he was surrounded by more suits than he could hope to kill. With no allies around him to come to his aid, he knew that things were dire. If Fortame didn't ring that bell, then this could very well be his final stand. He throws his second sword to the ground and takes a deep breath. Reaching into one of his pockets, he pulls out a glimmering pendant. He grips it tight as if it was more important to him than his weapon.
I guess this is it.
This fighting starts to become more desperate as tears blur his vision. The fact that he couldn't see any of his friends just hurt him even more. He had to assume that everybody around him had fallen during battle.
Stay back! I'm warning you!
He held out his sword as if to threaten. His hand trembles. The honor guard did not heed his warning, and they closed in on him. Having no choice but to continue fighting, he let out labored grunts. Through his blurred vision, he was almost unable to make out anything. His saving grace is the constant of the right suits of about his decay. Using that as a guide, he's able to keep tracking down his enemies. He tries fighting his way in the direction of the archers. Those were more of a threat to him than the suits with swords. In fact, he was certain that those archers had killed quite a few men, and unfortunately, he may be the next one added to their count. An arrow shot through his gut and he screams, falling back. Not a grievous wound, but he's immediately caught off guard. Something smashes into the back of his head and he collapses. Turning around, he sees a suit holding a rock covered in his blood. An open wound to the back of his head starts straining the ground.
What?
He rolls on the ground in pain and confusion. The suit kneels down and grabs a sword from the ground. It was the same one that Damek had discarded moments earlier. He's surprised to see that the rest of the honor guard stands down, as if they acknowledge this one had deserved to deal the final blow. Damek cries, looking up in horror. The suit raises up the sword. Damek raises the pendant and holds it close to his heart. He wished with all of his heart that Fortame would ring that bell any second now, and perhaps he'd be able to make it out alive. But he found so much luck. The suit thrusts the sword into his chest. With an agonizing scream, the pendant is shattered in tiny pieces. Seeing that, hurt Damek more than any wound inflicted ever could. He knows the wound is fatal, but he refuses to give up. Picking up the piece of pendant, He tries to fix it, trembling. As he struggles to put it back together, only watches it fall apart again.
Father!
He hears a loud ringing in his ears as everything slowly fades away. Holding the biggest remaining piece of pendant close, he cries. But then, a moment later, he realizes the ringing wasn't just in his ears. The retreat bell had started to ring, for Tame accomplished his goal. A moment too late, he thought, at least for him. This caused him to cry even more. But alongside his tears, a smile forms. His allies were living, and they had won. Yonagard turns to the source of the noise and drops their weapons. Damek lays there, hearing the bell, sound of hope, beckoning to all. He passes with a smile on his face, as he's slowly covered by ash. Everything had gone according to plan. Now it all rests in the hands of the monarch. The ring of the bell echoes in my ears. It's almost deafening. I'm relieved that another for them survived and succeeded. Me and Sovy stand in darkness, and it's hard to see.
Here, you'll be needing this.
He hands me a torch that was hung against the wall.
And watch your step as we go up those stairs. If you fall off the edge, well, you know how high we are.
I nod. The thought filled me with fright. I hold out the torch and see the bizarre sight before me. The walls are lined with gears, just like those on the blade. They spin and rotate in directions that they shouldn't. It makes no sense to me, but then again, neither does the blade. The gear on the blade spun in a way that was physically impossible. Fog lines the stairs leading up to Triumvirate's chambers. I was confident a moment ago, but the sight fills me with unease. I've never seen anything like it, and it's very concerning to me. I couldn't see off the edges of the stairs, and there was no railing. The slightest stumble could send me back down to the atrium. I do need to go back down. I do need to go back there, but that's not the way I do it.
I have one piece of advice for you, Monarch. Don't let them talk to you. Just kill them with no question. All they'll do is try to justify their actions and earn your sympathy. They prey on the minds of the weak, of those that they can mold. I know you're strong, but they just have this way of convincing you. I'd hate to see that happen to you. So remember, kill them all.
I tell them that I don't care what they say to me. I'm here to kill them. They could speak to me all they wished. They accomplished nothing. An easy goal to have in my mind, but in practice, I guess I had no idea. I'd have to find out, however. Someone steps out of the room ahead of us. As they move towards us, I can see the white and gold of the cloak. One of them left their chambers? I thought they didn't do that.
Sovy, you've returned. Were we not clear enough? A permanent exile is non-negotiable.
But you said...
He turns to them and motions as if he's pleading.
You said I could come back if I brought the blade. Is this not what you wanted? Was it not a test?
The Triumvirate looks down at both of us and sighs.
You think that you can fool us so easily? We know where your allegiance lies, Sovy. There is nothing in this world we cannot see.
Oh, it's too bad. So he gritted his teeth. I could tell that he was angry. I'm confused, but I trust him. I knew he was on my side. At least, that's what I thought. Everything changes in an instant.
Everything I did for you. Were you really too foolish to realize that? My attempt to help the rebellion was only an act.
What?
I've brought the enemy and the blade to your doorstep. Even after this, you deny me my redemption?
I immediately try to run, but Sovy grabs my left arm. As much as I struggle, it's no use. He's too strong. I think I understand. With the way the Zord is positioned, they'll think that your left arm is your dominant one, but it's not. And he's holding your left arm. That's what I'm starting to get from it. You can technically still use the blade because he doesn't have your Zord arm. I'm filled with fright. How could he do this?
You've done nothing but bring an armed enemy into our home. Your judgment is clouded, Sovy. We decline your offer.
No!
A second after, Sovy phases the blade into his hands. Then, much to my regret, he slices through my arm with ease. I scream, and then from the elbow down, almost nothing remains.
Then take this as an offering. That arm will never again be used against you. Before all of us, the Monarch is defenseless.
I don't feel anything, almost as if my body numbs itself from the trauma. But the sight is all too real. My lower arm, limp and dead on the floor. Blood spurts from the wound, and I look at Sovy in disbelief. He makes direct eye contact with me, and then looks at the torch. I'm still gripping it tightly, and that's when things make sense. Was he trying to fool them? I still have use of my good arm. I slump against the wall and use the torch to bore the wound shut. Disgusting smell fills the air, and I can hear crackling and sizzling. This is all I can do while I watch Sovy ascend the stairs with the blade.
You continue to surprise us, Sovy. Very well. Let us talk.
The Triumvirate looks down at my scabbard. They definitely believe Sovy removed my dominant arm. I don't know why any of this is happening, but I let it all unfold. I trust him.
Thank you, Master. I am sorry for letting you down in the past. I can only hope that this offering is enough to please you.
He continues to walk up the stairs slowly, as if somewhat scared. If I were him, I wouldn't want to make any sudden movements either. The Triumvirate has the advantage here. All we can do is try our best.
Remove threats to ensure the continued reign of Alestia's leaders. Is that not what you wanted? Is that not the role of the Grand Inquisitor?
As he speaks, he reaches top the stairs and faces his master. The Triumvirate lets out another loud sigh and proceeds to nod a few times. By now, I'm almost couldn't hear it again, and the wound bleeds no more, burnt shut.
You are right. Kneel, Sovy, and pledge your loyalty. Then, turn that blade on the Monarch and take her soul. That's all we need. The blade and the power inside her.
Sovy immediately drops the blade to his side and kneels down. It hits the ground with a loud metallic clang, then rests there motionless.
Yes, whatever you say, I will continue to serve. As the Grand Inquisitor, I have only one goal: removing threats to the throne of Alestia.
He trembles, frightened as the Triumvirate nods.
And I shall start with you.
A moment later, the blade disappears from the ground, but it doesn't return to Sovy's hands, or even mine. It phases directly through the chest of the Triumvirate.
Sovy!
He rises to his feet and grips the handle of the blade. I can see tears streaming from his eyes, sad at what he's done. He's shaking, as if he almost refuses to believe that this is real.
I hate that you're making me do this. I hate the man that you've made me become.
Sovy.
And a moment later, he pulls out the blade. Then, with a harsh kick, the triumvirate flies off the edge. I can hear them scream as they fall, and then the screams fade. Sovy drops the blade, and then drops back down to his knees. I start walking up the stairs, shocked at what I just saw. One of them was dead. Now only 2 more remain.
Monarch, take the blade and go. End this foolish war. Please.
I summon the blade back into my hand and walk up the stairs. I stop as I arrive beside him, but he simply shakes his head. I consider placing my hand on his shoulder, but it's no use.
Just go.
With a sigh of regret, I realize that there's nothing I can do. I won't even have time to chastise him. I decide to enter their chambers. His cries fill my ears and dissipate with each step I take towards the end. Either the end of the triumvirate or the end of myself. When I enter their chambers, it looks just like I remember it. I've been here before. I've had visions of standing in this very spot. In those visions, I remember walking towards the outer in the back. I can feel the blade respond to this room, but I'm not sure why. It's not moving or anything, it's just a feeling deep in my gut. As I go to grab the blade, I hear a loud voice call out to me.
Stop!
Then, out of nowhere, I see 2 cloaks appear by the idol. One of them stays in place, and the other walks towards me. The one at the back was surely my target, and their leader.
Do not draw that blade unless you intend to use it. That idol will respond to your aggression and fight back. We will not harm you. We brought you here for another reason.
Another reason? What could it be? I know I was told not to let them speak, but I'm curious. Assuming a neutral stance, I ask them to explain themselves.
That is a tall order, Monarch.
I noticed they used my proper title. In this moment, there was no room left for doubt. Everything Hal told us about the Triumvirate was true. They don't speak, they just stand there in silence. If I had anything to ask them, I guess now would be the time to do it. However, earlier warnings echo in my ears, warnings against letting them speak. Who are you? Where did the blade come from? Why are you doing this, Celestius? Why do you prison the monarchy? Why have I been having visions of this room? Enough talk, let's finish this. What makes me so special? Do I have a say in any of this stuff? Is it really worth all this trouble? And another playthrough, I can try to go through the choices or something, but right now I just kind of want to get through the game. Actually, let me save here. So, we're gonna save there. So, that was enough talk. I came to kill them, and that's what I'd do. No matter what they say, no matter what they had to say, they couldn't talk themselves free. They hurt my world and my friends. I would make them suffer.
The mind can suffer when stuck in the same time and place. History repeating itself can be far more than maddening. We try to break free from the cycle, but only perish.
This member of the Triumvirate is talking so differently. The one back in the previous room had almost a completely different story. If being caught in a cycle could drive them mad, I had to wonder which one was mad.
This is why we will not stop you if you wish to kill us. That blade has kept us alive long enough to see things through. Our final rest would only be a sign that we have finally won. So go ahead, kill me, and kill my master. Turn that blade on the idol, and see what happens. See if you can free everybody from its wrath. Not just us, or Alestia, but all worlds, and all people. If you are not strong enough, then the cycle will just start anew. Before you know it, you may be facing us here once more.
Are the visions you were having of the past? Hal said something about having visions of the past.
But know that we are not your enemy. All we've done to...
I'm sick of hearing it. I'm sick of this weak justification. I phased the blade in my hand and thrust it through their chest, but like I was warned before, the auto responds to my aggression. The room is engulfed in a blinding darkness. It must be the idol. The blade usually causes a white light. I feel immense warmth around me, and I hear the crackling of flames. The darkness fades, and the entire room is engulfed in fire. The Triumvirate stands before me, bleeding and crying. These were no gods, just weak, arrogant people.
Very well.
I turn left and face the flames, forcefully taking them with me. I hold them there with the blade, tempted to absorb their soul. But no, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve the satisfaction. I pull the blade out and watch the wound ooze blood. Then I grab them by the cloak and pull them close to me. In their final moments, I course them and condemn them. And then I push them back into the idol's flames. I hear them scream and wrath as they're slowly burned alive. In my opinion, they deserve the punishment far worse than that. Now, just one more to go. As I turn back to face the idol, the final Triumvirate stands before me. I hold out the blade towards them, showing them my intent to kill. That was my goal. Kill the Triumvirate, destroy the idol.
Stop! Think about what you're doing. Everything we've done in the name of freedom.
They get down on their knees and look up at me.
Normally, I'd send you back to start the cycle anew. But now, your strength surpasses mine. This must be the end. I beg for your mercy. Let me live to see what I fought for.
This reminds me of another story choice-based game where your character was also stuck in a cycle. Without hesitation, I swing the blade and cut off their head. They fall to the ground and the blood stains the white of their cloak. I'm not sure what to believe as they all had something different to say. Perhaps they meant to use that doubt as a weapon when I got here. I threw away that nonsense to stick to the goal I originally had. With them out of the way, it was time to destroy that idol for good. I take a step forward, my body is filled with pain. I could tell that the idol was fighting back, and I fell to my knees. The flames are so hot that I feel as if I'm melting away too. But no, something else is happening. It's not just the flames. The idol is trying to kill me, but I'm not the only one here. Inside of me is the monarchy, billions of spirits waiting to help, wanting to help. It's almost as if they're showing me, sacrificing themselves for me. I stand up and take another step forward. The pain is even worse. I fall to my hands and knees and cry in agony. It's too much. My vision blurs, but after a while, things return to normal. Though the pain has gone away, I start to feel weaker and weaker. Interesting music. My vision blurs, but after a while, things start to return to normal. Though the pain has gone away, I start to feel weaker and weaker. I know the souls inside of me are giving their lives for this. If I could get to the idol and attack it, I might be able to win. That was a big maybe, but there was one thing I knew for sure. I may not live through this, and there was no other option. Every step I took could easily be my last. Determination rises within me, and I take another step forward. My body is racked with pain, and it's almost impossible to walk. I use the blade I use the blade as a makeshift cane, as a voice sounds in my head.
You can do this, Monarch. Don't give up.
I'm not sure what I just heard, since nobody's actually around me. In these chambers, it would seem that time and space act up normally. Then every step I grit my teeth. Feels like I'm being torn apart.
Keep on moving! We didn't come this far just to lose now!
As souls exit my body to show me, I get noticeably weaker. I tremble with every step, trying as hard as I can to keep myself standing. My comrades crawl up to me to urge me to keep moving. I start to cry.
I guess I'm no longer the strongest member of the rebellion. I'm proud of you, Monarch. You saw this through to the bitter end.
With another step, I fall right to the ground. I lay there, crying and squirming in pain. My grip on the blade tightens as I shake.
Is this really how you want your story to be told? Get up, Monarch! Get up and finish what you started!
I use the blade for support and try to rise to my feet. This is taking so much out of me. Would I have enough power in the end? Hoping with every fiber of my being that I do, I take another step forward.
I knew there was something special about you. Ever since the start. You brought us all together and unified us. You made us a family.
I smile, a stark contrast to the tears streaming down my face. With another step, I'm almost facing the battle. I couldn't do this alone. The voices of my comrades and souls inside of me carry me forward.
So, everything has led to this. The monarchy is no more, but you can still live. Make it through this, and give Alestia the future it deserves.
I take one more step and raise the blade. As soon as I thrust into that battle, things would be over. But as the power within me dwindled, I realized one thing. No matter what happened next, the blade would be destroyed. But if I wanted to get rid of the outer for good, then I would perish as well. In order to live and see another day, I'd have to hold back just a bit. But if I did that, then there's a chance the outer might not be fully defeated. It would come back in the future to corrupt and decay other innocent worlds. Just keeping my life wolf, condemning other worlds to suffer like we did. I thrust the blade into the idol and activated it. The blinding white light follows. This was the end. The blade in moments would enact my final will. I just have to ask myself, what would that final will be? Which fate would await me and all those innocent wolves? I couldn't spare myself if it meant that other words could be hurt. It would be selfish, even though I wanted to live. I knew I couldn't. As soon as we set sail, I knew this could be the end for me. But even though I knew it was a possibility, I still didn't want to believe it. I was only fooling myself, thinking that I could live to see what I fought for. I denied the Triumvirate that way, and now would deny it to myself as well. I guess it didn't matter now. I could feel myself fading away. I command the blade to use all the power it can, including that of my life. No matter what happened to me, I would rest knowing one simple fact. Alestia had been given the future Gosh dang it.
We had to take a stance. I will not disappear if you live on. Dance and find joy in all I've held, in all I've done. You will hear me, you must believe.
Alessia had been given the future that it deserved. In the hands of the people, they were free to live as they pleased. As everything fades away, I wonder what that future might bring my house. I like the song. With the epilogue.
After the war, Valessa dedicated her life to philanthropy. She helped the people of Mazeo move on from the Triumvirate. Undoing some of the damage her parents had done was her new calling. As pirates, they inflicted wounds upon the culture and people of Mazeo. Being their daughter, she felt qualified to try and make up for what they did, and so she would go down in history as one of Mazeo's greatest public figures. She didn't ignore Valenorth, however, and still paid frequent visits. Trusting Fortem to take care of her home, she did the same for Mazeo. Together, they helped ensure that both nations lived strong and in harmony. Each year, she'd place flowers on Salberg's spirit idol. This was to remember you, and the idol that empowered you. You were never forgotten, not by her or by the world you served. For as long as she lived, she did this every year, her love unwavering. Known as a strong woman, this was the only time she shed a tear. Tales of her dedication to your love would live on after her passing. Because of your efforts and choices, Valessa survived. When the whole world stood against her, she faced it and prevailed. You gave her a gift of a happy, peaceful life, one not lost to senseless war. Fortem returned to Valenorth and took on the role of elder. He stayed true to his word and united his nation with the rest of Alestia. At the loss of some culture, Valenorth merged with the monarchy for good. A small price to pay, many would say. Valenorth let go of its dead beliefs. No more spirit realm, no more seers. Valenorth was just like every other nation. Trade routes were opened, and Valenorth was no longer closed off to outsiders. In a way, his nation became almost an extension of Mazeo. Upon his passing, he left behind the world he dreamed of creating, a unified Alestia, each nation resting on another for strength and purpose. He never got over the loss of his best friend, however. The day of your death became a day of festivities for Valenorth. They celebrated the gift of life that you gave to the rest of Alestia. On this day, many flowers would line the streets to your home. Fortem still came over every day, keeping your house in tip-top shape. He says it's what you would have wanted. He never stopped honoring your memory. Fortem survived the war, despite all odds. His strong love for everything around him kept him afloat. When all hope was lost, he stood up and challenged death in the face. And for that, he was never forgotten. Living a long and full life, he was happy. Alestia was forever better because of him. After the war, Pro settled down in Mazeo and started to write. He wanted to chronicle everything about the major players of the war. Working with any rebel survivors, he pledged that their story would never be lost. His works would go down in history as the most detailed records of wartime. People would aspire to write like him, but to this date, none have come close. Considered one of the greatest historians in Alestia, he retired and lived a peaceful life. He wrote about you and your sacrifice in vivid detail. In his mind, the most important asset in the war should be remembered. But true to his methods, he wrote about your day-to-day life as well. Legends should be grounded in reality. At least that's what he thought. It was important for people to realize you were a person first and a hero second. This empowered generations to come with the idea that anybody could be a hero. Pro's identity as the mole within the rebellion never came to light. However, even if it did, he had done enough to make up for his actions. Many aspired to write like him, but none could achieve such prowess. After the war, Ulrich did his best to assist the throne and serve the monarchy. There was much to take care of, and things were chaotic after the fog of war settled. But he was up to the task, and he did everything in his power to make the world a better place. In his spare time, he would visit New Alarinthia and assist Vivian as well. Having achieved his dream of a changed nation, it made sense to help out. It would take a while before every Alarinthian adjusted to this new lifestyle. With your sacrifice, there was nobody left to lead Alestia. Ulrich, stepping up, took on the role of first king of the monarchy. His goal was clear: to educate the world on the new status quo. People slowly learned and adjusted to news of the Triumvirate's fall, but with many years of hard work, they had come to enjoy Ulrich's rule. Alestians lived in peace, never fearing what their rulers may do to them. He had a statue of you erected in the town square of Balteus. You would forever be remembered as the first monarch, a hero. Every ruler in the future would owe their power to you and your sacrifice. With his curse lifted, he was no longer afraid of dying. He served Alestia until he was lost to old age, passing away happily. Though new rulers came and went, he was always remembered as the best. Thanks to your efforts, Ulrich was able to live a happy life, free from the Triumvirate. The shadows of his past soon dissipated, and he turned into a new man, truly loved by the people. Though his secrets never came to light, he had certainly done enough work to make up for them. Damek fell during the battle in Balteus, and it was a tragic loss. A massive blow to morale made your victory seem somewhat hollow. After all, were it not for Damek, things would have never gotten this far. He was remembered posthumously for his strategical genius. It was incredible how he led the rebellion after Solus's passing. A memorial service was held, and almost every soldier showed up. Everybody was shocked at losing both you and Damek during the war. Two of the key players were no longer alive to enjoy their hard-fought victory. Ulrich took over as the king in your absence, but never forgot his closest friends. The friendship you formed with Damek during the war would go down in history, a testament of how bonds can flourish even in the darkest of times, a true legend. It was a shame, many thought, that neither of you survived to grow that bond even further. Though Damek was lost to the war, his actions were never forgotten. His job of leading the rebellion after Solus's passing became a legend. Were it not for his coordination, things never would have happened as they did. After his death, all claims that he was responsible for the attack in Mazeo were dropped. He was respected after his passing and left behind a legacy of trained men and women. Because of what he taught them, the monarchy would have unparalleled military might. Sovy's past crimes were pardoned after his exceptional performance in Balteus. His defection from the Triumvirate and his advice regarding them were seen as invaluable. Were it not for his actions and his change of heart, the war would have been lost. True to his word, he used his eternal life to serve the monarchy. He was able to tell stories of your battles and keep your legacy alive. Every ruler in the future would know exactly who gave them their power. Giving Howl his independence came at the cost of his life. However, he knew the chances of dying were high when he asked. People would say that you made the right choice by granting him his wish. Many mourned the loss of Howl in the battle for Alestia. His wealth of knowledge about the monarchy would have filled books. However, his kind was now all but extinct, a casualty of this ruthless war. Aaron's tavern went on to boom in popularity, being near the birthplace of the monarch. He was forever thankful that he didn't have to give up his home like Damek had wanted. As a tribute to you, he would rename the tavern in the future, his way of saying thanks. This is where Milas settled down, unable to decide between Mazeo and Valenorth. He lived a happy and peaceful life, choosing how his remaining days played out. Being free to choose what happened to him, he was never bound by duty again. After the chaos dwindled, Alex returned to Mazeo and started a new life. His treaty was honored, and pirates were forgiven for all they had done. All bans were lifted, and pirates were officially employed as traders. Neda was never seen again. It was assumed that she didn't agree with these changes, or perhaps she was spiteful that you didn't choose to align with her demands. Either way, Alestia would forever remember her as a ruthless pirate lord. After finding himself fully redeemed, Grizz returned to his office as mayor. Honoring the pirate treaty he had coordinated, he helped Mazeo adjust to every change. He had long since been forgiven by the people, but it was only now that he forgave himself. The created seers seemed to be affected by your attack on the Dark Idol. As if offering their strength when needed the most, the energy within them vanished. When the fog of war settled, they were no longer plagued with visions. They had healthy minds. Vivian returned to Alarinthia and led it into a new age. No longer was the fate of the nation in the hands of the strong. Alarinthia existed in unity with the new monarchy, and it flourished. Trade routes were introduced, and its ports were open to everybody. The strict security and immigration process had been abolished permanently. Holding a ball every year, Vivian kept up the tradition of giving to the people. One thing was for sure. Alarinthia would never be in the hands of the strong again. Vivian lived out a long and happy life in the nation he had always dreamed of creating. Shane was killed in action during the final assault on Balteus. Many members of the new monarchy refused to speak about his betrayal. The wounds he inflicted in your cause were grievous, and his justice was served. When the chaos and confusion settled down, Halen seemed like a new man. He likened his existence to that of a spectator watching a performance. No matter what he wanted to do, his body could not defy his masters. He decided to atone for what he had done and joined the new monarchy. Of course, many people were apprehensive about accepting his aid. Over time, they learned to accept him and his desires as genuine. His job stayed largely the same, ensuring that Alestia's rulers remained in power. But with new masters and even new friends, he took pride in being on the right side. With the Dark Idol gone from Balteus, the corruption slowly waned. Over the next several decades, it made a complete transformation. Many would call it the most beautiful place in all of Alestian history. Its name was changed to New Balteus, and left behind its old roots. No longer would it be known as the seat of the tyrannical Triumvirate. People would see it as the place where Alestia was changed forever. People would come from all over the world to see the home of the new monarchy. It became a symbol of new beginnings, teaching people that change is always possible. As the corruption slowly disappeared, people settled down and turned it into a prosperous nation. You were successful in your aspirations. You left behind an entirely changed world. The members of the rebellion that survived had a new, even bigger journey before them. It was time to lead the world into the bright future you secured. For them, work had only just begun. Thank you for your service, Monarch. For everything you've done, you will never be forgotten.
I haven't been here in a while. What? My vision fades in and I feel incredibly confused. With everything that just happened, I should definitely be dead. Actually, maybe it was. Far be it from me to decide what death brought. I know that I'm in my house, not much is easily discernible. After rising up to sitting position, though, I noticed something shocking. The lower half of my arm was still missing. Could I have survived? No, that was impossible. So what's going on exactly? As my mind starts to fill with possibilities, there's a knock on my door. I'm filled with fright, but then a moment later I hear a familiar voice. Dame?
Hey, open up.
Was there none of that oil? I rushed to the door and put Dame steps inside of my house. My heart was beating so fast, then Joy overtakes me. No, you're still missing your arm. I give for Dame a big hug and he seems surprised.
Did you just wake up? Oh, jeez. Hope we won't be late. Don't tell me you forgot what day it is.
What? This is just like the very beginning of the game. But it can't be. Huh?
It's the anniversary of your induction. If we don't hurry to the town square, we'll be late. Salus is already under enough stress having to train Milas.
Salus, I thought it was dead. Salus is alive?
So come on, we need to get going. Your parents are counting on me, Cirrus. I told them to give me 10 minutes, tops.
Your parents are definitely dead. My parents? I'm in complete shock, and I stand there, dumbfounded. A small eternity passes before Dame breaks the silence.
Well, don't just stand there. You need to get ready. At this rate, you'll be greeting the townspeople in your underwear. I mean, you can if you want to, but I really don't recommend that.
I don't know what's going on. Am I in a new reality? The Elder is alive as well as my parents, and I've been inducted? This means that the rebellion was never formed. There is no occupation. Then you're missing your arm, right? Pretty sure you're missing your arm. Yeah, it's still missing. Tears start streaming from my eyes, and I give Fatima a bigger hug. I don't know what happened exactly, but I'm not about to question it. If this was the reward for my journey and sacrifice, then it was all worth it.
Whoa, hey, calm down.
I cry even harder, and Fatima can't help but show worry.
Hey, wait, are you okay?
I know I didn't tell him everything is fine, and this time something tells me it will stay that way. Oh.
I'll hang your picture on my wall. 4 days gone by, I recall those memories etched in my mind. When our lives intertwined, a moment frozen in time for me and you.
And just like the waves across the sea, we were strong, wild and free. Oh, how we laughed, how we cried. Our voices echo through the night. Nothing mattered in this world except you and me. Though the days can pass me by,
Oh,
I'll not forget.
someone played 2 characters.
'Cause when we meet again, it's like you never
Oh, quite a few people played 2 characters.
comes to you.
Oh, this is a nice song. It was the last one in the Liverpool song list.
There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose.
I mean, I can believe that. Their voices were heavily edited.
That's when home comes to you. And as the years go marching on, the bonds that formed are just as strong. And as our futures unfurl, it was us against the world. And there was nothing that we felt we couldn't do. The way you shaped my life is hard to comprehend. One look at you feels like I've come home again. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. Though the days can pass me by, I'll not forget. 'Cause when we meet again, it's like you never left. The way you shaped my life is hard to comprehend. One look at you feels like I've come home again. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. If you had to let somebody go, but they return to you, well, that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose. Well, that's when home. 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 Well, that's when I'll hang your picture on my wall. 4 days gone by, I recall those memories etched in my mind. When our lives intertwined, a moment frozen in time for me and you. And just like the waves across the sea, we were strong, wild and free. Oh, how we laughed, how we cried. Our voices echo through the night. Nothing mattered in this world except you and me. Though the days can pass me by, I'm Cause when we meet again, it's like you never left. Cause that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose. Cause that's when home comes to you. And as the years go marching on, the bonds that formed are just as strong. And as our futures unfurl, it was us against the world. And there was nothing that we felt we couldn't do. The way you shaped my life is hard to comprehend. One look at you feels like I've come home again. Cause that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose. Cause that's when home comes to you.
So guys, that'll be it for the Winds of Change series. I really enjoyed this game. It's had a lot of up and down points, but it was a really interesting game. I really enjoyed it. I would love to replay it and maybe change choices. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the series, watching the series as much as I have enjoyed reading through it. I hope you guys want this video, whatever that. Maybe if you guys want more Winds of Change videos to see different choices and all that, then comment down below and I will try my best to make it happen. But I hope you guys have enjoyed that video. Come subscribe for more. See you guys for the next video. Whenever. Bye guys.